Okay, so let's start at the beginning with the first screen, and we're going to need a layout for our main activity that's going to have two panels, and then we need a fragment for our login button and a fragment for our welcome. So let me go ahead and start by creating a new Android Studio project, and I'll call it Password Manager. Maybe not the most exciting name. And we'll do Android level 10. And I'm going to start with a blank activity with the action bar. And I'll leave my main activity named main activity. Okay, so for my main layout, I'm going to use a linear layout. And I'm going to make the orientation be horizontal. And I'm going to have two frame layouts inside of here, which are going to both wrap well, I'm going to set the width, so I'm not going to worry about that just yet. So singleton tag, and then the width is going to be 0dp, and I'm going to put a weight on it. So the first one's going to be 1 wide, and I'm going to give an ID of list fragment, and then I'm going to make a copy of this. And then the second one is going to be content fragment. And this one's going to be 4 weight, so 20%, 80%. The height for both of these is match parent, so that's probably okay. And that's it for that layout. So now I need a fragment for my login button. So new blank fragment, and we'll call this the login button fragment. We'll create XML, but we won't include the factory methods or interface callbacks. The grade will catch up a little bit. Okay, there it goes. So under layout, here's my login button. And so we'll have a frame layout on the outside, and on the inside we're just going to have a button, which is wrap content, and we'll set the text to a string resource that says log in. So Alt plus Enter extract string resource. Resource name is going to be login. And create another fragment. And this is going to be our welcome fragment. And we'll only include the XML. So under layout, fragment welcome, this is going to be a linear layout. And we're going to make the orientation on this one be vertical. And we're going to put gravity on here to center the contents. And then we want two things. Actually, we're going to make the width and height. Yeah, that'll be okay for now. So we want a text at the top that says welcome. So I'm going to change this resource to welcome. And Alt plus Enter will make it a string resource called welcome. And then the width and height are both going to be wrap content. So that's our welcome message. And then I'm also going to set the text size here. And let's look for one of the large ones. So large material. So, and then we need an image view. Wrap. And we need to set the source, so we need a drawable. Go back here, I'm going to copy that, and I'll start up a copy of Paint, paste it in, crop it, and then I'm going to save this as a PNG into my, I hope I put that in Android projects. I'm not sure if I did, we'll see. Yep, I did, good. So app, source, main, resources, drawable. So I'm going to call this lock.png. And now I have a drawable in my resources folder. So I can set the source to @drawable/lock. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to our main activity and start by putting it in the onCreate. So if saved instance state is equal null, then we're going to get a fragment manager. And this time I'm going to make sure I select the Android support v4 app equal get support fragment manager. And I'm going to create a fragment transaction. I got the wrong one. So it's going to be support v4 fragment transaction. Fragment manager dot begin transaction. Yeah, I have to do this again. There we go. Okay, so now I have a fragment and a transaction. I'm going to add to my r.id.list fragment a new instance of my login button fragment, and I'm going to add to my content fragment a new instance of my welcome fragment. And that should be enough to show me something so I can start testing. So let's go ahead and see what we have so far. Okay, so I'll do Nexus 7. Okay, so not quite there yet. So I forgot to commit. So I added my stuff, but I forgot to commit it. Transaction.commit. Let's try it again. Okay, so there's our lock and our login. Maybe not the most beautiful thing. I could probably use a bigger lock here, but it's good enough for now. Okay, so let's look at our screen. Let's look at our screen. So next screen is when they click on the login button, they get that. So I want to create a login fragment that's not the login button fragment. So we'll create a new fragment here. And this one we'll call login fragment. We will not include those optional things. And resource layout. So here's our fragment login. And we want a piece of text, please enter your password. Then we want an edit text box. Then a linear layout that's horizontal that has these two buttons in it. And then the whole thing is inside of a linear layout that's vertical. So we'll do a linear layout. And the orientation is, whoopsie. Orientation is vertical, and make that linear layout. And then this is going to wrap and wrap. And the text is going to be a new text that says, please enter your password. Let's check. Please enter your password, colon. And we'll add that as a string resource called enter password. And then we need an edit text box. And this is going to be wrap content as well. And let's set it to 10 ems wide. And we'll need an ID on this. Called password edit login, just to make sure we know which one it is. And that looks good. So we want to put a hint on here. And we'll extract that string. Okay, so that's our text, and now we need two buttons. So we'll create another linear layout. Wrap, wrap. And we'll make the orientation here be horizontal. And inside of this linear layout, we'll have a button. Wrap, wrap. And this one will be our cancel button. So the text is going to be cancel. And it's a little bit smaller here. And then we'll create another button. And this one is going to be our submit button. Okay. So now what we want to do is in our login button fragment, if the user clicks on the button, let's call login click. And then on our main activity, we'll implement public void login click, and we'll get the button. And what we're going to do here, Alt plus enter, what we're going to do is replace the main fragment or content fragment with the login fragment. So I'm going to copy all of this code here. And paste it in. And this is all the same up to here. We don't need to add the login fragment. We do need to add a new login fragment, and then the commit. So now we should have a live login button. Let's see how it looks so far. Okay, make this smaller so it fits. And I'm going to click on login. Oh, and I got this, but it didn't actually replace that because I forgot to do the replace. I did add again. So let's go ahead and fix that. So here, instead of adding, I want to replace. Great. So it's not centered though, so let's try to center it. So there's a couple ways of centering things, but what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to go to my main activity, and I'm going to add, I can't add gravity to a frame layout, unfortunately. So what I have to do is on the other side, I have to go to my login fragment, and I have to add gravity here, and we'll make this center. And since the linear layout is matching parent in height and width, this should work. Good. Okay. So not beautiful. This text is a little small, but seems to work. Okay. So now none of these buttons are live. If I want to make it so that this password isn't being shown in clear text as I print it, I can do that by adding, let's go smaller, by adding an input type to the edit text. So let's do input type, and then there's a password in here somewhere, text password right there. And now if I run it, now it just shows the last character. So that's a little better, a little more secure. All right, so next part is when they click the submit button and it goes to the congratulations, you're logged in. So let's do cancel first. So cancel should return us back to this screen by replacing this fragment with this fragment. So let's go ahead and implement the cancel button. And this is going to be on click. Let's call it login cancel. And that's going to be a main activity. And our login cancel is going to look just like our login click, except instead of replacing it with the login fragment, it'll replace it with the welcome fragment. Okay. So login, cancel, login, and then submit isn't hooked up yet. So if they click submit, we want to check whether their password is valid, and if it's valid, we'll log them in. If it's not valid, we'll say, sorry, please try again. And I'm going to dummy this in because I don't have any ability to store anything yet. We're going to do that next week. But I'm going to start by adding an onClick method here, login submit, and then in my main activity, I'll implement public void login submit the button. And I'm going to start by getting the text that they typed in. So edit text, password text is equal to edit text find view by ID r.id dot password edit login. I think that was the right one. Alt plus enter. And then our password string is going to be string password is password text dot get text dot toString. And then we're going to call a validate function. So I'm going to move that functionality out. So Boolean valid password and we'll say Boolean is valid equal to that. And we have to define a valid password function. And this is going to be a private Boolean valid password, which is going to take a string password. And I'm just going to fake this right now by having it return false. So anytime they try to log in, it will be invalid. Now, if it's valid, I want to do something if they've logged in correctly. Else, I want to do something if they've logged in incorrectly. And what I want to do if they log in incorrectly is display this fragment. Sorry, please try again. So let's go ahead and create another fragment. And we'll call this the sorry fragment. Oh, I forgot to get rid of all this stuff in there, so I'm going to have to go in and clean that up. So I should have unchecked a few of those boxes, but basically I can get rid of everything all the way up to this empty constructor. And then I can get rid of everything except for the onCreateView. And then everything from there on down to the end. Alright, so that's like if I uncheck those boxes. And here's my layout for sorry. And this is going to be a linear layout. And it's going to have two pieces of text that are stacked. So orientation is vertical. And the first text is going to be, make these both wrap content, gravity center, text size, large, and the text is equal to, oh, I already have the text, that's why it wasn't giving it to me. Okay, so this text here is going to be sorry. And what did I put? Please try again. So another text view. Wrap. I'll leave the default text size here. And my text is going to be please try again. Alt plus enter, extract. Try again. Okay, so now I have a password failed fragment. So if is valid is false. Now I'm getting tired of copying and pasting this code. So what I'm going to do is create a replace fragment helper method, private void replace fragment, and it's going to take an int resource ID, and it's going to do all of this actually I want to pass in an object which is a fragment. So fragment and I want the v4 fragment, and then here I'm just going to pass in fragment. So then instead of all of this code, all I have to say is replace fragment with new login fragment. So that's a little more concise. And then here I'm going to replace fragment with new welcome fragment. And here I'm going to replace fragment with new sorry fragments. Okay, so this is already getting a little shorter. Let's go ahead and see if the thing works. Okay, so log in, enter my password, hit submit, and it says, sorry, please try again. Log in, cancel, goes back to welcome. So now let's see what happens if we type in a correct password. This time we want, congratulations, you are logged in. So let me go ahead and create a new blank logged in fragment. And the XML for this one is going to be just like the one we just did. So here's our fragment sorry. And I'm going to go to our fragment logged in and select all and replace. And then I'm just going to change the text on this. So it's going to say congratulations and you are logged in. Now I actually could just have one of these fragments and then just change the text on it, but I'm not going to bother. Okay. Alright, and then to test this out, I'm just going to change my code for valid password to return true. Okay, log in, submit. Oh, and I forgot to do the replace. So let's go ahead and do that. So replace fragment, new logged in fragment. And now let's try it. Okay, so that's the first part of this. In the next part, we're going to go ahead and start in on this list view so that we can do that part here. And we'll also learn how to make these action buttons visible or invisible.